You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast on the We Are Libertarians Network. I'm your host, Jeremiah Morrell. As always, we're joined by our co-host, Dakota Davis on my left, and our other co-host, Clay Morgan on our right. Our show is about our lives in rural Indiana. It's a show about folks who are involved in politics. We promise that our episodes are going to be fun and an easy listen. We interview people who are influencers, elected officials, political experts, and folks who we just find interesting. Today, we found somebody that's all of those things. Our featured guest today is Mr. Aaron Dicken, friend of the show, I guess. We had another person that we adopted against his will and brought him in. Aaron is a sitting city council member in Newcastle, Indiana, right?
Yep, Ward 4.
Well, Ward 4. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
You're really close to being my ward, but not close
thank
enough.
Goodness.
It's Mark Koger that.
Yeah.
He's
well, and I heard you comment on that.
Yeah, I like Mark. He's a good dude. Really, all the people on the council are good people. I've not been to a county council meeting. I was going to go Wednesday. Sorry, Clay.
Changed your mind, huh?
I couldn't make it. But
no, it is what it is.
I was very impressed with the city council.
Yep.
Well, Mark's been really good being my seat neighbor to lean over and say, "Hey, what do we do here? What's going on?"
There you go.
So
what we usually do on the show is we catch up for the first 15, 20 minutes or so and have a little bit of fun talking about what's happened in the last week, trouble we've gotten ourselves into, scandals we've caused, or anything along the way. And then we'll spend some time spotlighting Aaron, and then we've got some other local issues to talk about and a national issue or two to chat about. So with that, Dakota, you had your very first meeting as the Henry County Libertarian Party chairman.
That's right.
Back on Saturday night, right?
Yep.
Massive success.
It was a huge success. It was very encouraging for me as the chairperson, and it was to see all the people that came out and to compare that to the people that come out for the Democrat meetings and the Republican meetings here in town. I mean, we were right there with them, if not more, and it was awesome.
Where'd you guys have it at?
At Montgomery's. We reserved the little upstairs space.
Yeah.
Awesome. It was a good time.
Cool.
Worked out nicely. A lot of people get intimidated by local politics, and what you'll see in we've got poor Aaron on a cord, so he's got about a quarter of an inch to move in any direction. As you get into local politics, you realize that, and it's the same in everything you do, every board you're on, anything you're involved in. It's the people that show up, and it takes a small group of people that are very dedicated to make it all work. And I'm sure inside of each of your parties as well, you guys see the same thing.
It's all about involvement.
Yep,
very much so.
And recruiting. That's what we're in now, is recruiting season. So if you're riding around in your tractor and you're ticked off at the world and want to make a change on the county council, or
talking to you, Cade Koger.
Yeah, Cade. Although we saw he's probably
I cut his boy's hair today.
Did you?
Oh man, he is all about farming, dude.
His son is?
Oh yeah.
Does he have
I'm sitting there cutting his hair, and a combine drives by, and he's like, "It's a combine! It's a combine!"
We remember about a year ago, Cade sacrificed some corn and polluted the field. It said TRUMP out there, and it made the news.
Oh yeah, I remember
that was early in the season too.
Nice.
That was
nice.
That was during the Republican primary. We pay attention, Cade, when you get when you make the national news for killing crops.
I follow him on Facebook, and his posts are so good. Like I don't know where he finds half the stuff that he does, but it's just like this. It's the perfect mixture of funny, entertaining, and like actual serious issues. Like it's perfect.
He's a smart guy. I was cutting his hair the other day, and he started talking about he's real big on gun issues.
Yeah,
he knows them. He knows them in and out. I mean,
yeah. I've never met him in person.
Kind of his expertise.
I know him through the internet.
Yeah, I thought maybe you weren't with me at B-Dubs. A couple weeks ago, I was at B-Dubs and I was walking out and Cade was there, and I thought you were there, but maybe it was somebody else.
I don't think so.
I lose track of who I'm with. It's a complicated life.
When you're with so many people,
It's ridiculous, man.
you know.
Oh my
This
gosh.
is the one night, well, not this. Monday night was my one night I didn't have something planned. I think last night I had three meetings before.
I know,
before I
and
could do anything.
Jeremiah is the host server for our Minecraft game,
Oh, yeah.
and it's horrible. It's like I'm sitting here and it's 7:30 at night. I'm ready to play some Minecraft until the wee hours
Until
of the
quitting
morning.
time.
And Jeremiah's like, "Oh, I'll be home at 8." And then like 9:30 rolls around.
I said 8:30, 9 o'clock at the earliest.
That's why you're so upset with him today.
He was very brutal.
Yeah,
He was
I was
very
just
grumpy.
sitting there twiddling.
Man.
I had to work on my own little seed world, and
Man, must be rough.
it is.
So I did finally pin Dakota down, and we played some Secret Hitler. Have you seen this game? Are you familiar with it?
Well, I saw you guys posting about all the
Yeah.
games you were playing, and also followed some of the controversy there.
Oh.
with,
Oh well, so yeah, we
Big-
played Agenda,
Big
which we can't do anything without creating a stir.
it's the way it's the way
Big time
Facebook is,
controversy.
right?
Yeah, we apologize for the scorched earth that led to for
And
a
I
number,
also
a
brought
number of
that
people.
up to mention Darren Jacobs.
Yes,
'cause
thank
I
you. We
think
got that
there's a
out of the way
running-
very
yeah,
early.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Get it out of
Darren,
the
you made
way.
it within the first 6 minutes. You get the you get a gold star. Congratulations.
Moving up.
Still behind Cade Coger though. I
That's
guess.
true. That's
So
true.
Secret Hitler.
Yeah, so we played Secret Hitler. It's made by the people that did Cards Against Humanity,
Okay.
which is a not safe for work game. So
For
we
kids.
played this game, myself and Lisa Crosby and some others in the Hope Building, and there are very important people walking through the Hope Building all the time. And they're having important meetings next door, and we're at Save Games and saying some of these things that you lead yourself to say in the game. And you're like, man, I really am glad nobody's recording this at this particular moment. But Dakota,
Were they?
You're a fascist, aren't you?
yeah, you're just trying to do the Aaron Dicken and enact your fascist policies along the way.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I was going to say that
Great
we were
meme.
trying to enact the modern leftists,
Yes.
and accuse everyone of being a Hitler and their Nazi type.
man, so yeah, check the game out. It's actually a lot of fun. Dakota finally got to play it. I got him and Audrey and the lovely Sarah Potter and Rachel Valor came by, and we played on. It's a much better game, a big party game if you have 8 or 10 people. You can do it with 5, but it's a lot more fun if you have more.
Yeah, the funniest thing of that night, and if for the people that have played the game, it's going to make a lot more sense. But for those of you that don't, basically there's 2 fascists and 3 liberals, and no one knows who Hitler is except for the fascist, and the liberals have no idea who the fascists are, and they don't even know who the other liberals are. So you're just blind
Interesting,
if you're
yeah.
a liberal. And so at the beginning of the game, Jeremiah says, everybody close your eyes. Fascists, you can open your eyes and look at each other. So the 2 fascists know. And if you're not Hitler, obviously the other person is. Rachel Valor was a fascist, and Sarah Potter was Hitler. And
Wow.
what ends up coming down to is Rachel Valor has got the power in her hands. She is the president. She has to pick one person to shoot. That is Hitler.
She can shoot anybody in the game.
She can shoot anybody
and
in the game.
She's Hitler's teammate at this point. She's the
on
fascist.
the same side, and she still shoots Sarah, who is actually Hitler and her teammate. And we were like, why would you do that? And she's like, I just couldn't bring myself to not kill Hitler.
She had a Valkyrie moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a fun game. I went out and actually bought like 2 or 3 more on Amazon, similar type games. There's Mafia and Wolverine, and there was a third, Resistance or something.
I'm interested to play the Mafia game because I know that I've played Mafia before, like with regular playing cards and a
Right.
big group of people, and I'm really interested to see how that correlates with an actual like regular game.
I'll feel more comfortable playing this game with people like Aaron, who have a reputation to defend, instead of making him play something like this.
Like Secret
Right.
Hitler.
Yeah. I'd
Aaron's
probably not
Hitler.
be good. I would probably say I am Hitler.
Well, that's a lot
I'd
of
give
times
myself up.
you're just doing it the entire time. So yeah, that was that portion of the weekend.
Yeah, and Sarah Potter was wildly intoxicated by the end of the night.
I don't have any. I don't know.
She drank that entire pitcher of sangria that she made.
Well, I wasn't. I'm on this diet where I can't have juice or not drinking juice, so I couldn't help her. There's nothing I could do.
Yeah, so I guess it's your fault.
Was this activity
But
at Saved Games? Or
No,
No,
this is
no,
all.
no.
This is at my. This actually took
This is
place at my
Jeremiah's
place
house.
after
Gotcha,
after the
okay.
event. So-
After the game.
The
Yes.
reason I brought that up, the reason it's in the show notes, is because at all the parties that we have, Sarah is like Jeremiah's mother.
Oh
And-
no, that's a very dangerous comment.
This is it is a metaphor. It's not talking about your actual mother. And
Oh, I thought.
This is a bad
I'm
road.
glad you cleared that out.
Yeah.
I was confused.
and it's basically like Jeremiah will get to party mode, right?
Party
And
Jer exists.
Party Jer.
Even at 34.
Content Jer is what I like to call him because he makes for great stories on the podcast. And Sarah's like, all right, Jer, it's time to go to bed. You need to get upstairs. You've had enough. And he's like, no, the party's not over yet.
There's still people here.
And then I've never seen Sarah drink more than like two drinks probably.
Yeah,
Two or three.
Yeah.
So it was very surprising to me. And she was fun. I had fun.
There's just no good answer, Aaron. You can't. There's like 3 or 4 different paths, and I already gamed it out. We just have to move on at this point because I'm already in trouble.
I mean, Sarah should feel honored that she made it into the Boss Hog of Liberty show notes.
She's
But like the Darren comment, I feel like I've heard that Sarah Potter's wildly intoxicated on a couple of the other episodes.
Really?
So now I'm starting to wonder.
yeah.
It might be a thing. We need to go research.
You're going to get sued for libel. You should probably talk to somebody for a big umbrella policy.
Hey,
Maybe, yeah.
that could be your guy.
There could be
There
some
we go.
opportunities. So then at Saturday night, I convinced Dakota that Sunday was going to be a fun day and we should go to the lake since I had my boat and I hadn't had it out in ages. So we went down to Brookville and got to run around on the Bass Tracker for a couple hours and went to Ainsley's Cafe over there in Liberty. The
Yep.
Boss Hog of Liberty visited Liberty, Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time. We had quite a bit of fun out on the tracker. We got to put your sunshade on the boat for the first time.
We
ever.
did. I've got the bass boat, but my uncle that I bought it from had purchased this. I'd literally never even opened it up before, but it's this little top that goes on, and it was actually great for what we did.
Nice.
Wasn't
it was really
nearly
nice.
as fast as I expected it to be with a big parachute up on
Yeah.
top. But
Yeah,
it was a good time,
seriously.
and 4
Yes.
people in the boat.
Did you fish or you just?
We just rode around.
Nah, we just rode
recreational.
around. And
Yeah.
Yep. Just time on the water. A lot of boats out there.
Hang out
It was
next
to
the
the
weekend
dam.
is a bad time to fish at Brookville, especially down by the
That-
dam.
That really wasn't crowded for Brookville.
Well,
on the
no, but
weekend.
for fishing it would just
Oh
be
yeah,
impossible.
fishing. Well, there's some channels we could win in, but
Yeah.
I didn't feel like fishing.
No, I've taken the only time you've been fishing. I think I took you, and that was also a bad day for
That
fishing.
wasn't the only time I've ever been fishing.
Clay, he didn't know how to work a reel, so I don't know how many times he's been,
Okay,
but he was holding it
He's got,
upside
like,
down.
He's got those fancy reels.
No,
Oh, yeah.
it was not even a bait
And-
caster. It was just an open
with
face
you.
reel,
I'm with you.
not the button.
Yeah,
he was
he
looking
does-
for the
I'm
quick cast.
used to
and
the
you have to
button.
reel it.
Yeah,
you have
it was
to
just
reel
a spinner reel.
backwards.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
He
depends on your spec.
he was looking for the Mickey Mouse with the button that you flip,
Exactly.
and I didn't bring one of those for him.
I don't
so
think
he was
it's
lost.
Mickey Mouse. I think it's the movie Cars.
Oh, you
It's got
you're
Lightning
so young.
McQueen's face on it.
I have seen those.
He's so very young.
Yes.
I have seen those.
Yeah, so I got to meet Dakota's dad for the first time.
Yeah, you did. You did.
For the
Yeah.
first time, really.
Very first time,
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Yeah, they were down at they summer down there, I guess.
I miss him.
His hair looked good though.
Did it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He looked like he was well taken care of.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell with him because
brutal.
sometimes he cuts it himself, and other times he goes to B-52s.
Yeah.
Sometimes he goes to a professional.
Yep.
Wow. All right.
I mean, he's bald.
I
nothing
always-
wrong with
He
that.
tried
There's
he
nothing
tried
wrong
shaving
with
his head like Aaron did,
Yeah.
and it looked horrible.
You know,
looked-
I've almost
like he ha-
considered offering him free haircuts just to have him come in because I
Just to
always
have him
enjoy
back.
this conversation. Yeah.
Maybe you should do that. Reach out to him.
This
he
is
doesn't
the,
have a Facebook, so
The Boss Hog of Liberty podcast with Dakota Davis, Clay Morgan, and Newcastle City Councilman Aaron Dicken, Democrat. You know, we're heard, by the way, on the Indiana Talks Network, the number one progressive talk network in the state of Indiana. So
That's-
these are
I
your
heard
people.
Yeah, I mean,
this is
we-
for your crowd.
We
Your time to
basically-
shine.
We basically had to bring you on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
the Bernie Bros demanded it.
I think Clay's touched on this, and I feel like I've talked about it all week. But when you're talking city and county politics, I mean, what party politics doesn't really matter. I don't feel like
Yeah, no.
Because if it does start mattering, then you're in trouble.
we got some issues.
Right, exactly.
So, Clay, you did do some party politics stuff this week, though.
I did. I sure did.
You went and visited with the vice president last Friday,
Yeah.
as I
Wonderful
understand
time.
it. You
Did
didn't
he
get
say, I want to thank my good personal friend, Clay Morgan?
Well, he had it in his notes, but I was like, Mike, listen, you don't have to.
He didn't call you Clint
That's-
Morgan, did he? 'Cause isn't that what-
or Mike Morgan.
Like Mike, yes, Mike Morgan.
Oh,
Did
my
you get a
gosh.
Trump invitation? Did you have to pass on that one, or did you? What
Well,
level does
well,
an incumbent Republican councilman
to
make
be-
in Indiana
To
politics?
be honest, I didn't even try for the Trump. I mean, I'm sure that I could have, but I didn't even try because I had other things going on. I had more important matters to take care of.
You had show prep.
Well, right, exactly. I was taking care of the constituents of Henry County.
It's true. Wednesday.
Yes.
That was the same day.
Yes.
The president did not consider the previously scheduled
He did
county
not.
council meeting.
He did not.
So in
I mean, he
Consider it.
could have had it at 5. and
He-
then
I'm
you'd
telling
been
you.
fine,
I'm
Well,
telling
Because
you
your
right
meetings
now.
are
I would have had to have driving time, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Clay, if President Trump not taking that into consideration doesn't make you say hashtag dump Trump,
Well, not quite yet.
I don't know
Not
what
quite
will.
yet, but it's show him a little grace, kind of like Mike Messer did. So Mike Messer, Luke showed him some grace, so I think I'll show him some grace.
My
But
goodness.
yeah, we had job classification, public budget hearing, and regular county council meetings. So
Pretty full day.
yeah, so I did that instead.
Are you going to have any county employees left when the budget's over? Are we gonna...
We'll discuss that later, right?
Yeah.
Because we could get into a whole meat of topics there, but we don't want to interfere with Mr. Dickens' time.
Yeah.
We understand.
It's so important.
We understand.
But we did. What was Tuesday? Tuesday was a fun time for me because we had our annual GOP club dinner.
you guys all feast on one big elephant, right?
We do exactly one bite at a time.
Yes.
Out at Mike and Melinda Garish's.
What is
house.
the most tender part of the
Shirley.
elephant? Is it shoulder or tail? What do y'all eat?
It's not the heart.
It's the stomach.
It's very cold, isn't it?
It's the stomach.
oh, it's like just giant strips of bacon.
Yes.
Is that what it's like?
It is. It is. It's nice and
What's
juicy.
you ever tried a trunk?
I never have. I never have.
I would imagine that'd be pretty gristly. I
would
wouldn't.
think
I wouldn't
so.
want it.
I would think so.
Maybe we should ask Donald Trump Jr.
Trump.
and see what he thought.
Trump. Huh.
All right.
Yeah, there we go. Now we know.
I did get to speak to Farm Bureau also.
I
that
saw
night.
that, yes.
Yeah, so I rushed
now,
from the dinner
when
to
Liz
Farm
McDonald
Bureau.
introduced you, I assume Liz did, the new
Yeah,
president of the Farm Bureau.
Yes.
Did she happen to mention that you are the co-host of the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast, or do
No.
I need to talk to Liz?
You should probably say something. Yeah.
Do you submit an
dang it,
official
Liz.
bio for these sorts of things?
Well, no, I did not.
See, we need to present.
We do.
I need
Yep.
as a co-host here. I think I need final cut in your bio.
Yeah, there you go.
The introduction, because
you
you
go.
never know the next time you're going to have a big one of these.
Well, and I was
That
going to
is
say,
true.
is this on your guys' Facebook profiles and like LinkedIn profiles? And
Now,
when
on-
you look at his Facebook profile, his employer is the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast.
nice.
There you go.
It's on there. Mine isn't even set that way.
Clay did it, and I felt bad, and I was like, I got to go look like I work there too.
Yes, exactly.
So I updated mine.
Exactly. Get the word out because we
speaking
want
of
to hit
that-
1,000.
That's right.
Speaking of
That's
being
right.
a co-host of the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast, we have a couple of promotions going on. We have pretty soon, coming in October, the Boss Hog of Liberty will be running a promotion to 5 super fans. We need 5 super fans, and we have the Boss Hog of Liberty now has bumper stickers. We have 5 bumper stickers to give away.
Nice.
Yes, you text. You either send a message to Jeremiah or myself or Clay, and make a donation of $5 or more, and you will be getting a bumper sticker. But you need to act fast because there's only 5. Like I said,
Like that's more expensive than ordering 100.
like it. They get pretty pricey whenever you start putting your own pictures and stuff on there and getting color and everything.
This was an unauthorized purchase. He told me one day, hey, we have bumper stickers. Really? He said,
Yep.
I used our logo. I said, what logo? Oh, the cover art. Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's got like 42 colors in it. Yeah, it's really expensive.
But they do look really good.
So-
they say they have mine and Jeremiah's picture in front of the Indiana state flag. It's that picture. By the way.
That picture.
Yeah,
Oh.
not the other one.
The terrible clip art.
Yeah, with the funny. It's just so funny. I couldn't resist. And
Nice.
it is our pictures. It says "Boss Hog of Liberty" really big, and then it says East Central Indiana's favorite podcast, and then underneath it says bosshogof-liberty.com.
There we go.
And
It's
if you're going to be a guest on the show, we're going to start giving out presents. Unfortunately, they didn't get here before Aaron got here.
unfortunately Aaron gets the shaft again.
But we're going to start giving out some fridge magnets that are the same way, and forcing our guests to put them up on their refrigerators at home, so that their wives or husbands and children have to deal with seeing our faces every day whenever they go to get a cold pop out of the freezer.
Forced friendship and forced magnets. Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty. So Clay,
It's almost like forced patriotism, right?
we'll have to work on your bio and get you some improvements. That way, Liz doesn't make that tragic error again.
Well, I'd appreciate it. I would.
All right. So Aaron has agreed to join us today. I really cannot believe it because the way his relationship with the We Are Libertarians Network started was rocky to say the least.
Yes.
Candidate Aaron Dicken.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I
Optimistic.
forgot about that whenever I started making the show notes.
Optimistic
That was
and
so
green
funny.
and fresh, joyous Aaron Dicken, recruited by Democrat Chairman Darren Jacobs. Had
several people, but yeah,
yes,
I mean,
his prize candidate in that municipal election year was Aaron, and it looks like you paid big money for a photo shoot, and you went out and you got some
did.
pictures in front of a white background.
I did, and because the creative design element in my brain said, "Hey, this is going to be a really neat way to interact with constituents and voters, and it'll be fun." And I forgot about the dark internet down in the underbelly.
Just can't have nice
And
things,
it's
can
just,
we?
We can't. And
The
you
dark
know, I've-
internet, otherwise known as We Are Libertarians.
And, I saw Clay this week talking about his wife and, how she is this big encourager. And that's the way it is with my wife and my family. And there were some Mother Bear moments that, you guys are lucky.
So-
You guys got lucky.
So, I did make the mistake of saying, "Hey guys, this is
I
kind
will
of funny,"
Never forget.
and sent it in to our little group chat, the infamous wall group chat that's been around for years. And about 3 minutes later, it came out the other side, and Aaron was committing all kinds of war
Yeah.
crimes, and it was getting messaged back to him. And
Is
about
it
5 minutes later, I get the message from Aaron, "Who the hell is James Neese?" and I'm like, "Oh my God!"
Aaron was in the back of a Toyota pickup truck holding an M16 with
Yeah.
a bunch of ISIS members.
Yes.
There was that. There was the Palin family. And it even carried over because I was like, this is a proud moment for me. I signed that certificate, that oath. It's really cool. So I had a picture with it, and somebody photoshopped
right after
the
you got
Nazi
elected.
Bible
Yes.
over the certificate. But, my whole thing was it's unfortunately part of politics, and this is the real litmus test of whether I can do this or not.
Yeah,
I
now
tried
see,
to tell
Aaron,
you at the time that it was a term of endearment. They do it
Yeah.
because they like you. They're really
Yeah.
not malicious.
And I had
Jeremiah-
You should see the things they do to me.
He sent me the screenshots of the conversation you guys had, and see, I had seen you commenting on things, and I think that I had commented back and forth with you in like Citizens of Henry County or some Facebook group, and I texted. I put in the group chat actually for We Are Libertarians. I was like, "Hey, Jeremiah, we need to have this guy Aaron Dicken on the show sometime. Let's see what we can do with that." And he was like, "Yeah, we can try that."
You might not be incredibly open to that anymore.
Yeah, but and then he started explaining everything to me, and like, I think James Neese still had some of the pictures saved on his phone,
Yeah, probably.
so I was able to actually see him. But Oh my
Well,
gosh!
No,
Yeah.
the pictures we had were the screenshots that Aaron had
Right.
sent back to me that I went
Oh,
back and
okay,
found.
okay.
That's where they came from.
that are now in a book that I look
Yes.
at every morning to psych myself
just
up
your
to tackle
motivation.
the day.
Yeah.
If I can handle that, I can take on
Exactly.
anything.
Exactly.
The mayor is nothing compared to the things I've been through before.
I just imagine Aaron Dicken sitting there in his home and in like a dimly lit room, looking at these pictures of himself, and there's a CD track playing in the background, going na na na. Na, 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 na.
We can't do any more humming of that because they want to charge us
Yeah, I
for the
was gonna
song.
say,
Yeah, right,
yeah,
right.
there you go.
That's all we can
I
use
think
for
you
fair
can only
use.
do like 6 seconds, and then it's good.
Man. All right. Is it smoke break time yet?
No,
Go outside and light up?
No, there's no such thing.
We can't do that.
You can't. Jeremiah tried to convince
so
me.
subtle. My gosh.
Jeremiah tried to convince me that we should allow smoking in the studio, and I said, "Do you realize that the studio is right next to my bedroom?"
So, when Aaron was the author of what is most likely going to go down as the most controversial ordinance of 2017.
Have you written any county ordinances?
I don't want us smoking.
Okay.
I don't want us smoking in the backyard. But if we want to walk out onto the publicly owned road, I'm perfectly okay with it.
Or even the sidewalk.
Actually, you know what? We can just walk my dog down to Baker Park
Yeah,
and take a smoke break
that'd
there.
be fine. As long as we're not around any children, it seems like it's reasonable.
You know, Aaron, we had this idea whenever the second reading was going to happen
Yeah.
for the ordinance. What is it? 3773?
3772.
72.
Yeah.
Okay. We had this idea as leadership in the Henry County Libertarian Party to organize a smoke off in front of the council chambers.
Just pure chain smoking out on the street.
Which is ironic.
I was going to take up smoking for a protest, Aaron. I was willing
gonna
to
get-
sacrifice my lungs.
I was going to find the biggest, fattest cigar I could and just puff right out there as all the council members were walking in the doorways.
It's ironic because I had a similar conversation at home, because at home you can have these conversations that you can't normally have. And I said,
This is a
I
safe
felt
place.
so passionately about this, and I'll go into detail why, but I said, if nothing in this ordinance passes, the next meeting, I'm just going to smoke in the meeting, and we'll see how far I get.
Just light up and see where it goes.
But I know that this was, number one, this brought a lot of discussion, which I think is good and healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard because I think my perspective at 21 on something like this, or 18, is completely different than what my perspective is now, and then what my perspective might be, 20 years from now. I think having kids changes your whole perspective, and we've taken our kids to the park countless times, and I know that smoking, if you read the paper, is by far not the worst thing that's happening at the park. So there are some issues
now
there.
you're casting judgment on people and what they choose to do in
Yeah.
their personal lives, and that could get sticky someday for you, sir.
The most we'll say about that is that a man knew a woman on a slide in the biblical sense.
It said it was the fun slide, and they misread the sign.
Well, and I mean,
Fun park isn't that fun.
They have
not
sex
that kind
daily.
of fun.
They have sex daily. Or dyslexia.
Got to write that down to understand the joke.
Yeah.
I think it's hard because, and that's what I appreciate about discussions with you guys, is because you make me think about a lot of different things, and it's
Sometimes you're like, get out of there, get out of there, get out of there.
Exactly. But I think it would be easy to say, yes, it's common sense not to smoke around children, but unfortunately, not everybody has that common sense to not do it. And I know that sounds cliche, and I think that's probably why it doesn't sit well with people. But seriously, when you're at the fun park with your kids and they're smoking inside the fun park, that just doesn't sit well. It didn't sit well with me.
So why wouldn't you just ban smoking inside the fun park?
Well, and that's the thing. And I wish that we would have gotten that a little further. And I printed out Ordinance 2916. It's not on the city website. I think I sent people
It's
to the
not
city
on
website.
the city website?
No, because it was a 1993 ordinance.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not on there. But if you could have seen the ordinance, and that's what we were talking about before the show, is I make copious amounts of notes. That ordinance was just, there was all kinds of stuff scratched out because I realized, okay, this was a little too aggressive. Let's start small in the constricted areas where children are, and heard the areas that were problems for a lot of people. Let's start with that and see what happens. It still wouldn't sit well with people because some people it just won't ever sit well.
Well, I think some sort, I think you can come to a reasonable arrangement that's probably not going to impact anybody.
Right.
I would hope that people aren't just purely dicks and smoking in the grandstand around kids at a Little League game, but I'm sure that you'd have the issue.
But it takes that discussion, and it gets so ugly, and that's what is really unfortunate. It gets so ugly, but I think and I've told Jeremiah this, that's what I appreciate about the discussion I have with you guys, is because it always comes back to the meat and potatoes of the discussion.
Yeah,
and that's really good to mold.
I will say I got pretty ugly on citizens of Henry County. I really did. And I was fired up.
You get a kick out of that, though.
Yeah, well, but see, here's the thing, Quake. Usually, whenever issues like this come up, I'm not that much in the minority on things. And it seemed like it was every person that I was coming to was in support of this total smoking ban. And it was just like, how do I handle this? And I just blew up. And I think it was on a man named Carlos Gray here in town.
Okay.
And and he was in total support. Yeah, if you guys know Carlos.
I looked at the finance records. He's a big supporter of Aaron's.
Is he?
Yeah, big time.
Well,
over the $200 limit.
That is
had to
probably
claim
the
it.
shortest list in Henry County.
But he was in total support of this smoking ban.
I have no idea, by the way. That's it.
And he ended up talking about. He ended up firing a shot at me, and about my character, the type of character it would take. Something about I question the character of any person that would advocate for smoking around children. And I said, well, I question the character of a man who doesn't have the balls enough to tell a man next to him to stop smoking and has to get the police involved. And that was probably the ugliest I got.
Yeah.
And
see, that's why I don't visit that territory much anymore. I'm on Facebook. I let people come to me, and I have open discussions, on Facebook. But yeah, that site there, that group there, that's
it's bordering We Are Libertarians' deep dark part of the internet.
That's dangerous territory for Henry County, and you're brave enough to go there. Wow.
I
you have to take a shower after it.
Wow. I recommend it to all my friends.
Wow.
Well, and I think that's what, and I said this the first reading, is that I know at the base level an ordinance is meant to be enforced, and a lot of times that enforcement is by law enforcement.
A man with a gun.
Exactly. And I saw your comment about that. And so, but in this sense, I think there's also another side to ordinances, that it's about publicity and raising awareness.
Right, yeah. And I think that, there's a way that we can do that. And it was handled well. It ended up being handled very well at the second reading.
Mm-hmm.
After all attempts for fascism, they finally came around to freedom.
Right. Yeah. No more secret Hitlers in the county or in the city council. Don't know about the county council yet.
All it took was Dakota Davis showing up at one city council meeting.
I was trying so hard to impress Dakota.
I even have that written in my notes.
I knew.
I have that written in my notes in my leather-bound notebook here from whenever I went to the city council meeting, and it was that Aaron Dicken actually motioned to table Ordinance 3772, and I was like, man,
and then that
I really got through to him.
Well, and I think that's what that second reading, obviously, we took the shortcut because of things that came up. But I really would have been interested to see what the discussion would have been like, because I think that it would have been a discussion that people, when they heard or read about it, would have said, oh, well, maybe they are listening. And that's what I try to do. And that's why I had so much changed in that ordinance and crossed out, is because I saw how much people were upset. But at the same time, it's a delicate balance, because there's a reason I wanted that ordinance in there. And so, I don't know. It's a back and forth.
Well, and what I find a lot of times, before we would move to the next subject, even on the county side, being fresh, being new, man, sometimes it seems like just to bring up a discussion, people act like all hell's breaking loose and you're trying to disrupt the entire system. And it's like, no, I just saw something maybe we need to talk about.
Right.
Maybe we need to look at, And so hearing you talk about it, it sounds like that's kind of what you were looking at, is trying to open the box, say, hey, let's look at what's inside. What do we need to do?
And
How
I'm
can
sure
we
that
make this better?
It wasn't just something that you all of a sudden had the idea pop in your head.
Right. No,
It
I'm not
was
sitting
that
around
you
thinking
had
about
gotten-
ways to,
Yeah. It was some, you had heard complaints.
Right.
Obviously. People, especially from the president of our city parks board, she got up and spoke during the city council meeting and was very adamant about the need for this smoking ban. And I think she walked away disappointed because it got left on her table.
There's something I learned from Rex Bell, working with him for a year, and something he preached an awful lot of was that there's a difference between crimes, vices, and bad habits.
I saw, yeah.
And that was kind of where I landed on it. Is, you know, should you smoke? No, probably not. Should you smoke around kids? Definitely not.
Right.
But then you do get to the point where you're putting your law enforcement officers, and they're the ones that end up being the rubber on the road.
Yep.
Well, and that's the hard part, is because, you know, I really, that set well with me what you had said, but I'm not the type of person that can throw up my hands and say, well, then I guess I'll just leave it. I've got to figure out something. And to circle back to what Clay said, I think that's where, you know, being new on the city council, I've kind of lucked out, because there are, I mean, a lot of people that I've leaned on and that I think encourage that type of discussion. And I don't know how it looks, you know, during the meeting, but there's a few of us especially that kind of bounce ideas off each other. And
definitely,
we've talked about Darren and Corey too, and it's definitely, I think, always really good.
So because your ordinance failed, you turned down your raise. Is that the way that went down?
Did you get mad, take your ball, and go home?
Yeah, I did not. And I think
that was another thing I was really impressed by you and Mark both on that. I was very impressed because, like I said on the last episode, being raised hardcore Republican, I was fully expecting whenever they brought up the raises, everybody in there to be like, yeah, we deserve a raise. Absolutely. And I was very impressed to see that that was not the case.
Well, and again, this is you know, I think some of those meetings get so heated. I don't know, does that happen at the county council at all?
Only if I speak.
The county council meetings are set up in a long linear line, so they can't see each other's eyes. They just hear voices. So they're set up as you're just speaking into space, into a big empty room most of the time. Is that right, Clay?
You're pretty close to being accurate.
Where you don't get to look each other in the face and just yell at them across the way like they do. The city council meetings are much more. It's like affixed bayonets, I think, versus.
Much more conducive to an entertaining environment.
Yes.
Well, and that discussion, I mean, leads to a lot of good points, and especially on this ordinance with the elected officials raises. You know, I think Christy York does a great job. Mayor York does a great job, and they absolutely deserve their raise for, you know, the work and the time. I mean, just ungodly amount of hours. The only thing I was trying to slow up, and I tried to make sure that everybody understood my point, was, you know, almost half of us have been there 2 years. And I think we already got, I have to go back and look, we already got a small raise for 2017.
Yeah, and this wasn't a huge raise.
No, it's not.
And it's not like you make a ton of money anyway. I mean,
It's a citizen job. I mean, this is not a full-time job for anybody that's on the council. You might have some that are semi-retired, but most everybody has a day job.
Right. And that was the point was, well, we don't want to hinder anybody from wanting to run. And, I mean, to really want this job, you have to basically ignore any type of pay that you get, because it's not worth it. If I were to break it down to an hourly wage,
minimal,
my wife would kick me out.
Yeah.
If it were my only job.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there were a lot of things that played into it. I think I just kept thinking of perspective. You know, what are our citizens going to think about? Because they are the reason I am here, and I've said that multiple times. They're the reason I'm in that seat. So I want to make sure they know that, you know, we're not playing fast and loose with first, second, and third reading. We're taking our time. We're doing our own research as well, and really giving a thoughtful opinion and a thoughtful vote to each of these ordinances.
Yep.
There's absolute. Sometimes I just don't get it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with chewing on the subject for a while.
Right.
But before you can chew on it, you have to bring it up.
Right. And it gets messy. I mean, I've had
Sure.
a number of people say, sometimes these city council meetings are a little uncomfortable. And I described it to
That's
my wife
not a
that,
bad thing.
no, this is the room where we're really molding things, and
Yeah.
it gets brutal. I mean, a molder of clay, it's tough work.
At least with your body,
cliche enough.
it's a 6-week process. It's not like Washington where they decide that they want to pass a healthcare
What's
bill.
wrong with Aaron's body?
I need to go on the South Beach.
We both know that we're the least athletic of our brothers. We got hate crime this
Allegedly.
week. My brother Danny said that Aaron's brother Wes, they were going to come back here and sit in on us and watch
saw
us.
that.
Watch
Wes
us
is
do the
a
podcast.
tennis
saw
player,
that.
though.
Well, in basketball, and I'll give you a little story on that because he will tell you if I don't. When we were kids growing up, we played basketball in the backyard. I mean, grass and a board and a goal. And he was about to beat me. I grabbed a stick off the ground, and when he went up for a layup, I bashed it against his back. And
Typical
he
Democrat.
he would say typical middle child. But I think, and I'll spin this for you in a political way, I think that really showed my competitive spirit and resourcefulness, which I
There
think
we
plays
go.
well.
You get 5 fouls and you need to use them all. That was one.
Exactly.
My brother, we were pretty good growing up out on Messick Road. We didn't have any gravel. We had a gravel driveway. We had no concrete of any sort. So we could dribble on gravel. If you can dribble on gravel, you're doing okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Helps your eye-hand
The ball
coordination.
sometimes takes a bounce.
Yeah, you're all over the place.
Yeah.
Danny never beat me one-on-one, but I quit when he started getting ready to be able to beat
There
me.
you
So
go.
then I got the hell out of that game. But we're not picking it up anytime soon. So
Gosh.
other topics of conversation here with Aaron that we had on the city side. 14th Street's still closed, right?
I didn't drive that way, but I felt pretty good about coming here. And
Why are there so many
saying-
complaints about that, Aaron?
I think it's just because it's an issue that I think somebody said it's almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
But why is it a big deal? Like, why do we need that street?
Here's
Go ahead.
sorry.
No, you're good. Get
you
in
know
there.
what's going on, but I live a couple blocks away.
Right.
See,
All
I've
right.
I've already talked about this issue with Clay.
Yeah.
We've talked about it extensively, and
For those listening nationally, there is Newcastle, Indiana's town of about 20,000 people. City. It's a city.
It's a
20,000 people, roughly 18,000 somewhere
I was
there.
going to say, I've got it right here, 18,100.
18
is
and
the
change.
latest.
We'll round up. Just like we say we have 1,000 listeners a week on the Boss Hog of Liberty. Really, it's right at 900.
Rounded
We're going to say
nearest
it's 1,000. About roughly 20,000 people in Newcastle. East-west road through town is a state road, 2-lane road. It's been under construction all year. There are basically 3 main north-south roads through the city, and in the downtown area, there's basically 2 that intersect the main downtown area that go through. They're through streets. One of them is 14th Street. There's a major reconstruction project of a building that we're going to talk about here, and that road's been closed because that building's been redone for about
1
3
block.
years or so. One city block is closed. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 block. And just
It-
my opinion, I think this is my, I'm not trying to get you in trouble or anything here. But as a citizen of Newcastle and living right there, now I have talked to emergency personnel and
Right.
I've gotten more feedback on why and how and all that. So I get it.
Well, and have you ever been inside one of the ambulances? Just side.
I have not. I've peeked in, but I have not been
It's
in.
crazy.
But I think if the project that we're about ready to talk about would have advanced and been thriving right now, there wouldn't have been an issue
Oh, yeah.
because it took quite a while
Right.
before
Well-
you started hearing the complaints. And I
Yeah.
think people just said, you know what, flip it. This road's been closed forever. Ain't nothing being done. We want to drive through.
Right.
That's just my opinion. I personally,
Yeah.
it could be closed or open. It doesn't bother me specifically,
Right.
but I have heard both sides of the
There are
story.
so many people up in arms about this,
So.
and I'm so
Over it?
tired of
Over it.
I'm tired of seeing the posts and citizens of Henry County of people
Quit
going,
looking at citizens of Henry County.
Right, man.
I can't stop. It's like an addiction. If I
Can't
stop,
quit it.
if I stop, then I start scratching my neck and digging holes in my arms. I just can't do it.
He looks at it when it pops up and he says, I ain't quitting you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I definitely get it, and I think that I'm just continuing on here.
Yes, let's hear from the expert that's in the middle of the situation.
No, all you, lots of great points, and I think why it matters to me is because it does matter to everybody, and they all have an opinion. And so,
Right.
I mean, that obviously shows some merit to it. It's
And
been closed.
that makes it important.
Right. It affects their daily lives, and whether you agree with that or not, because a lot of us don't agree with it. I mean, that's their perspective.
My opinion as a true libertarian is
Uh-oh.
get the government out of the roads, man. Roads should be privatized.
Just auction it off and see if somebody wants to charge a toll. That's what Dakota says.
yeah.
There we go.
We'll put a toll road right there. If you want to use 14th Street, you got to freaking pay for it.
I think that a lot of it's just been trying to get information out there, because I think that, and there's only so much the city can do in regards to this, and in regards to downtown as a whole. I mean, I don't think the city should have real estate. That's my own personal view.
If the city can't have real estate, then how can they decide what happens on the property?
That's a good point. But is Park City real estate? I mean, I'm talking about.
I just had to bring that up.
I'm talking about empty buildings. I'm talking about empty buildings, not
Yeah,
like
I know,
used
I
property.
understand.
Gosh,
I'm just giving you a
libertarian.
hard time.
Tough crowd. Tough crowd.
Seriously.
All he's saying is if we sold that for farm ground, there would be a lot more opportunity for economic
carpet
development.
Trump
I could
inside
take
of
I could take my mule down there, and I could. Oh, wait a minute! Farm animals aren't allowed within city limits.
I brought up a chicken ordinance my first year.
Did you
of
really?
my first term in the city limits, and it
I
was.
bet Darren was proud.
It was fodder.
Wait, did you vote to legalize chickens or against them?
But there in
No,
the discussion
Darren was angry. Darren was very upset.
Darren was probably busy grabbing them out of somebody's backyard in Spiceland and escorting them out of town.
Yeah.
At that time,
and that's why they've migrated
Yes.
to Newcastle.
So, what was the name by name? Who was on what side of the chicken argument? And
it didn't get that far.
Couldn't even get heard.
that far. No.
Well, see,
No.
I'll be running against Mark Koger in 2019
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah.
for city council.
Now, be
Is
careful
this
how
an
you announce
official-
that, because
is this
you
an
have to.
official announcement.
You have to
This
start
isn't
filling
a-
out paperwork.
This isn't official. It's nothing official. It's just in
Because
the.
what you said last time was that you kind of like Mark and you thought about running. And
Do you retract that statement
week
right
to week.
now?
I like Mark. I like Mark perfectly fine, but it's just like Jeremiah always says. Everybody's got to interview for the jobs. But
Wow. You heard it here
That's
on Boss
interesting.
Hog of Liberty.
Yeah, gosh, I gotta text Mark real quick.
Tell him to start raising money. He needs to.
Yep.
He needs to find an elephant to.
It's okay if
to
we
cook
keep
or something.
if we keep doing improvements to the studio. I'm going to be broke
This will be
anyway.
your full-time job anyway.
Yeah,
You'll have much more political ambition here.
yeah,
And
right.
swaying people.
So, working through our little punch list here.
Jennings building, though. What is going? I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's exactly right. Yeah, the 1400
Okay.
Plaza and the Jennings building. We've got.
Well, and that's why I circled around. We got off topic there a little bit, but
Hard to believe that.
I jotted down these notes because I actually met with the engineering firm
Really?
this morning, and I actually haven't publicized that yet. And really, what it was they were just getting ideas from certain stakeholders, and I mean, from what it sounds like 14th Street's going to stay open, and it's not going to be rerouted. Now, obviously, you can't pin these down because there's a lot of things in a project that can change. But and I just expressed that I'd like to see a lot more green space than parking.
I can't wait for our clickbait. 14th
I
Street.
agree.
Will you opening? Question mark.
Yeah,
We're gonna have
seriously.
thousands of hits. Posting
But-
that in Citizens of Henry County tonight.
I think
Yes.
green space, more of a green space than parking there, and that's a discussion I had with Corey Murphy too.
You're gonna have some urban farming.
I would agree with that.
not
What did
that
Corey
far.
think about that?
I mean, that was his sentiment was,
Yeah.
you know, and I think I brought up the need for a place for families to take their kids while you're waiting on your reservation or something, if those restaurants open up. And I think that'll be a great connection between downtown and 15th Street or the Robert Indiana Arts and Culture District.
Yes.
Because I try to throw that in as much as I can. Because right now I think it's like on the outlying parts of downtown. I think that'll be a great connection. So I think it's got a lot of potential.
I totally agree. Do not reopen the street. That is my
Well,
sentiment.
and my thing, when that came up at the meeting, my thing was let's keep it open and let's find that there's a reason to close it. Let's see a lot of pedestrian traffic downtown to where, okay, a plaza makes sense.
Right. Don't
Yeah,
just
and
make a decision to make a decision.
Right.
I think that especially after Broad Street is done, going through downtown, it's done being out from under construction, we're going to see a lot of downtown traffic then because people just haven't been on it. We haven't
Right.
been able to be on it
They want
for
to see
an
how
entire
nice it is,
year.
how smooth it is.
I can't wait to cruise Broad with Councilman Dicken.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we're
Every-
going to
like the late 90s again.
Over the
Yeah.
railroad tracks.
Exactly.
To really savor how smooth it is to go
Exactly.
over those railroad tracks.
Has everybody here seen the movie Cars, like I referenced earlier with
Yes.
the fishing rod?
yeah.
Yeah. So every time that I drive on a new road, it just pops into my head, but every time I'm on a freshly paved road or something, I always think of Mater whenever he gets on the new road and he's like, I'm the first one on the new road. That's what it pops
With
into
Route
my head
66
every
going in the
time.
background.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
So the Jennings Building restaurants, I'll take us there.
Yeah. Supposed to have 4, right? Is that the plan? 3 or 4 restaurants going in there?
Yeah.
Really?
I got a tour of Firehouse Barbecue and Blues. I know you said that you had went, Jeremiah, to the Richmond
Absolutely.
restaurant.
Sarah and I checked it out about close to a month ago now.
And I know,
And they promised a spring opening at that time.
and that's right there beside it. Is that considered a part of the Jennings Building project?
I don't think that's technically the Jennings Building, but I think it is part of the project. Or actually, no.
Okay.
I think that is a part of the Jennings Building. It's the wine bar that's
Okay.
not a part of that building, but it is a part of the project.
Okay.
Does that
'Cause-
make sense?
Yeah. Because one thing I've been wondering, and maybe you was going to get here, is because I get a lot of these questions at the barbershop.
Yeah.
And people,
Oh,
are, as you know, people are talking about it. Are there certain businesses such as Firehouse Barbecue that can come in, say in the spring, like Jeremiah was saying, and the other businesses not come in? I mean, can we start seeing some movement?
That's the way I've understood it. I mean,
Okay.
from the beginning, and especially as it goes on, I think they're going to
'Cause,
do
man,
it
I've had their
one
food.
at a time.
Man, I would love to see them
Right.
come in.
I've never been there.
It's good.
The space is really neat. They've repurposed a lot of the wood from the Hoosier Antiques building. Like some of the floor joists they used to create the bar in the back of the restaurant. A lot of the walls have a wainscoting that's made from wood from that building. So it's really neat how they repurpose that.
And the building isn't completely empty. Upstairs, there are residences
yeah.
above, and there are people living there now.
20
It's
units.
occupied, right?
Yeah, and I think
So it's just the commercial space is all that's
Right.
left at this point.
Right. So yeah, there's going to be that one. There's going to be a pizza place. There's going to be an Irish pub, and then I think around the corner, catty corner from Nance, is going to be a bakery cafe type thing.
You have 2 bakeries. There's another
With
bakery
pastries.
opening
Yeah,
downtown,
Sheila's
I believe.
Bakery.
Yeah.
And they are working fast.
Very
She and
blessed.
husband
You
Matt.
got multiple bakeries and the
Lots
world's
of
greatest
carbs.
donut shop in Henry County, in Newcastle.
Yeah, that doesn't work very well on a keto diet.
No, we're all just hangry around here now, watching Dakota drink beer.
Wow.
That's right.
You pouring the bells too hard? What do you got?
No, this is
Or the Oberon?
something that Aaron actually brought. He said that he was going to hook me up tonight, and it's made by the same people that make Two Hearted Ale, which is basically my favorite.
Is it Oberon?
beer, but it's
Or
Oberon.
Oberon? Yeah. I'm
yeah.
familiar with that label.
I've never had it before, but we're going to try it. I like wheat ales.
7 months into his
So,
drinking
same.
career, he's making his way around the line.
Connoisseur.
It's all Jeremiah. It's all Jeremiah. All my drinking game is from Jeremiah.
He's putting the blame on you.
I'm his tour guide. Man.
So
All right.
and I never had a touch of alcohol before I was 21.
Of course not. No, that would be wrong.
That would
So-
be against the law.
Yes.
It's an
on the
unconstitutional
Unless-
law. It's
unless
just like
you're-
the smoking ban.
Go
It's
ahead,
wrong.
go ahead, Clay. Go ahead, Clay.
Thank you,
What were
Eric.
you saying?
Me and you can talk
Cone
here
of
for a
silence.
second. On the Jennings building, because it is important. It's to me, and I want to be able
I
to.
think our downtown, yeah.
Yeah, I want to be able to just help spread the word too, because again, I got customers that come in and ask all the time.
Over at the MVP Barbershop on Memorial Drive.
The official barbershop of the Boss Hog of Liberty.
With me being the exception.
Well, you know,
Unfortunately.
yeah. Once they see the pictures, they'll
They'll
know
know.
why.
They'll know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll know. So, the Jennings project, in your opinion, is moving forward.
Yeah.
It's not as obviously as quick as what
Right.
people want, but there is still plans. It has not come to a stop.
I mean, I haven't.
And we
that's
are
what's,
moving.
and that's what's hard. And I think that getting back to my point a few minutes ago, you know, when we've got private investors and private business owners, you know, take as big a building as the Jennings building is in our downtown. I mean, that's a big chunk of our downtown.
Yes, sir.
Especially on a scale of what's left.
Right. We won't get into that. There's
one block standing. That's all.
There's not a lot that the municipal government can do about it as
Yeah,
far
absolutely.
as
yeah,
for enforcing
exactly.
codes.
And that's one thing I have been telling people is, look, it's
Right.
it's kind of out of
Right.
their hands.
But I mean,
But
and
there's
that's where
city funds tied up in, aren't there? Or there are definitely government funds
I mean,
involved.
I think maybe the sale of the building itself, and that's before my time and a little muddy on the details. But my goal has been to get word out, like you had said with the barbershop, is just communicate with people as much as I know, which isn't a whole lot.
Yeah.
But just keep that that going.
I've thought about that a lot too, like because as I frequent a lot of groups in the community, and it's always being brought up. When are we going to do something about this building? When's the council going to do something about this? And it's like, can the council do something about this?
See, that's
Or
one of the first
should
problems.
the council do something about this, or is it a waste of money? And people, if you bring that up, people get upset. Mainly, it's baby boomers. They get upset because they've seen the downtown that they grew up with, the Broad Street that they used to cruise.
It's an
and
emotional thing.
Yeah,
You're right.
and it's
You're
been torn down, and I preach that all the time. You cannot, whenever you are talking about affecting the lives of 20,000 people, you cannot think with your emotions.
But that's hard.
Your emotions.
Yeah.
Oh, I understand that,
Yeah.
and I'm very guilty of it too.
Right.
And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm not. But facts and logic are oftentimes at opposite ends as emotions and your feelings, and you can't mingle the two. And no matter how much you try, no matter how many times that you try to mix the two, and no matter how many times you try to justify your emotions with your made up facts, it doesn't work out. It never does. It's the same issue that we've seen with a lot of issues in modern politics. People get worked up because they're emotional, and it just doesn't work.
That's Citizens of Henry County page right there.
That's exactly it.
And I get it, and that's why I think it's important to make sure. I've been trying to focus on empathy and perspective in all of my
empathy is so much to everything.
Yeah. I mean, these things, these topics, no matter how big or how small, are somehow, to a certain extent, affecting people's lives. So they have to feel like they're being listened to. They have to feel like you're trying to
right.
help.
And some of our listeners are some of our listeners like Christy Avery in Fort Wayne, or any of our listeners that listen in Indianapolis. They might be thinking, well, that it's Newcastle. It's such a small town, but
that makes it more crucial.
Right. Well, there's a board of 7 people that is making decisions for 20,000. No matter, even if we are such a small individual little community, it's still a big deal.
Well, and this is why I said that. It's a big deal because guess what? The ordinance that I just put out there to get Joe Smith to stop smoking at the park.
Right.
I'm going to see Joe Smith at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And who knows
and
what'll
he's going to
happen.
say,
Exactly.
"Hey, Dicken."
Seriously. Well, and that's why I try to show and try to. That's why I stole your Facebook Live thing, because I wanted to communicate to people. Listen, we're not just out there making decisions willy nilly. We're thinking about things. We're considering them.
You
all
won't
live
see them
here.
doing that
Right.
in Indianapolis, like that.
Right, because they're not going to see.
Yeah.
Well, it's easier to say it's the masses there,
Right.
than it is here. I think.
I mean, but someone tags you on Facebook,
Right.
then it's
In a
like
meme.
you.
And then he says,
You-
"New phone, who dis?"
Yeah, he says, "Who's James Neese?" Yeah, and but someone tags you on Facebook in a post, and they're outraged.
Right.
This new smoking ban is horrible. I can't believe that Aaron Dicken would do this. I mean, you take personal offense to this.
Well, and that's
But in bigger cities, it's people they would say at Aaron Dicken, City Council, Indianapolis, Indiana, and they would never see it.
Right.
Nothing would happen.
Right.
But this makes it personal.
right.
They know who you are.
Yeah.
They know the area in which you live.
They see me.
And
I mean, at
it's-
some point, I would think.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's important to be able to connect to those people. And I think that's why, I explained coming here to be able to show that we can have discussions, even though there's a meme of me holding a Nazi Bible. Like, I think it's important to show that we can have these discussions. I can try to explain myself.
Well, pictures don't lie.
Obviously.
Pictures worth 1,000 words.
What's amazing is he said he had to explain why he was coming here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did notice that he said he made a post that said he would be on the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast.
Oh, he's been very supportive.
And
because
said, he would be meeting with people that disagree with him.
Well,
Like,
you had saved all your smoking ban comments on the last show to, what was the word?
He was setting you
To
up.
smack you down, I believe.
Yeah.
I was
To have a
really
hostile interview environment.
I was really hoping that you were going to listen to that, which is why
Yeah.
Jeremiah
You were trying
said,
to impress me.
yeah.
This was the Aaron Dicken Smackdown show is what it was unofficially
that's-
titled.
gosh,
yeah.
Then that's why Jeremiah said, "Well, we still want him to like us when he leaves." And I
At
said,
least me. I don't care
I
if he
said,
likes
"No
you.
bars hold." My personal goal is whenever I walk into the city council or to the council chambers in Newcastle, Indiana, there's like this collective sigh.
Oh, shit, he's here again.
Exactly.
To circle back to downtown, I feel like I should be the host. I'm circling us back.
You go there. I'm trying to move us onto large trash and what happens when I flush.
Aaron?
Well,
Well,
I'll leave
good
the
job.
downtown with this. The county has the courthouse annex building that has been brought up in discussion at what's going to happen because it's next to a lot where a building was torn down. And I think it's important for us. And I think Corey does a great job of this. I know you guys agree, of marketing ourselves so that people know the assets that we have,
sure.
and maybe spark a creative idea
For sure.
for somebody to come approach the commissioners on that idea or the council and really figure out what they can do to increase the pulse and vitality of downtown.
For sure.
So
100% agree.
Yep.
So I live in White Estates. Am I going to get annexed in, or do I have to move if I want to run for mayor?
depends on at what time we fix the drainage issue. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean it just depends.
That
we
is-
don't. If it's 2019, then we might not want our special guest to run opposed by a libertarian.
It's hard to know.
Gosh, you guys
I mean,
are pot stirrers.
That's I mean, I just had a paper come across my desk today. It said from the rumor mill, and
It was like Abdul's cheat sheet for Henry County.
Yeah.
It's
And it said
a sub edition.
said, "Will Aaron Dicken be running for mayor in 2019?"
It came across your desk because it shot off of your desktop printer from your computer. Right? Well, like I told you,
When you print your own news, you can print anything you want.
Yeah, make anybody hold any kind of book. Like I told you before, I don't have any intentions. This whole council thing, I don't even think was on my radar. There's a lot of
Now wait a
discussions
minute. You are the mayor slayer. Did you not beat a former mayor in the primary?
I did.
Uh-huh.
I did.
Right.
3-term mayor, I think.
Yeah.
No,
Wow,
but
impressive.
that was a huge learning experience for me, and it was a lot of fun. And I mean, I've heard since I was 12, well, he's going to be mayor. And I was looking at that house that you posted, and it was a friend of high school's it was his house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was asking him how he was doing. I hadn't talked to him in a while. It's Scott Mann. I'll make sure he listens to this. And he said, well, when are you going to be mayor? I don't have any intentions at all to be mayor.
Really?
That's a job that, I mean, there's so many hours, and having, kids, it's hard to make the meetings that I do.
Yeah.
And every time, I remember leaving for one meeting, and my daughter, who was 2 at the time, said, "Daddy going to go see his other family?" And that just brought me down to
that
2
cut you
feet tall.
deep,
Yeah.
didn't it?
Yeah. I have no intentions on running. This city council thing has been a lot of fun. It came up organically. A lot of people that I respect encouraged me to do it. And that's, and in 2011, when my wife and I got married, we said, do we want to move or do we want to stay? We decided to stay, but with the caveat that we were going to get involved and make a difference. And this was just one of those steps.
There you go.
And one of the great political terms that we like to use is intentions.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So is this the
That-
official
that-
re-election announcement?
No, because trust me, there are times I go home and you probably are the same way. And my wife's sitting there and I slam my stuff down on the table. I said, I'm not running for re-election. But I think there's an ebb and flow to it. And
gets in your blood.
there are times where I feel so good when you connect with people personally and help them solve an issue. I had a friend of mine that had an issue with Medicaid, and all I was connecting the dots between her and Representative Saunders, and it solved the issue. She had, tears of joy, and that, I think, is really why I do what I do. And, I make jokes that I can't believe we're sitting at this table talking about trash. But that affects people's daily lives. Right. And for 93-year-old Edna that lives down the street who can't get her tote out there, that's an issue that means a lot to her.
Those are the most basic civil services, in which you're more than, parks are great. There are so many other things that we talk about in economic development, but making sure the water's coming to you, making sure that the water when you flush goes somewhere, which, my neighborhood's still an embarrassment, but at some point it'll be better. And then I guess y'all are going to have I have a private trash company, so I don't have the ability. If I want to get rid of a big couch, I have to hack it up in my garage and then burn it quietly.
Right. And
I guess you guys have piece by piece.
And Mayor York brought up at the last meeting that I was at, and I didn't know that Kevin was going to report on this and that we weren't going to really say anything. But Kevin Green, he took the ball from us and made the announcement before the Boss Hog Liberty could, as a major media outlet.
Competing media.
That's how good Kevin is, though.
Yeah, he dropped the ball, and Mayor York is going to be introducing an ordinance, I think, and
that's one of my
a revised ordinance or something, and it will be doing away with the large trash pickup. Like currently in Newcastle, Indiana, like I had a old couch and a love seat after I had bought my new sectional, and I was able to sit it out on the curb, and on my trash day there was it happens like once a month.
I don't live in the city. I really don't know how you guys have it over here.
I believe it happens.
It's sporadic.
I think it's. I actually think it's like the third. No, I think it's the third.
Well, I know we had talked
the third
about,
week of the month.
And I'll get to that, actually.
Okay.
Continue.
But I think it's, as it sits right now, it's like the third week of the month, and they'll have a large trash pickup guy follow around the actual trashman. So I was able to just sit my couch and my love seat out there, and they picked it up, and it was not a big deal.
And if they're not coming around, you call, and like my brother set something out, and they came that same day and picked it up. No problem.
And it's a great service. It was great for me, and I know that for a lot of people, especially if you're listening in our libertarian audience, then the biggest thing for you would be, the trash should be privatized. Your city shouldn't have anything to do with the trash. They're the government, and they're evil, and they shouldn't provide that service. But to me, when Mayor York said that he was going to be trying to do away with the large trash pickup day, my mind automatically went to the economic implications that would bring along with it. Because I don't know how much, and I'm totally ignorant here, and if I say something that's wrong, Aaron, then you could tell me. But I don't know how much it costs to do the large trash pickup, but I imagine it would be a lot less than having the people go and pick up things whenever they are thrown on the city's public property.
Or the county.
And I know that my first job, I worked on a farm from the time I was 14 to 17. I worked on a farm / airport, and there were multiple times every year that we had to go out because somebody in a pickup truck had drove into the cornfield, dumped all their trash, and then drove off. And, as a 15 or 16-year-old, I'm sitting out there and I'm picking up trash, and I'm in this area. It's like, am I going to pick up something that has a needle in it? It's not just going to affect the 93-year-old Edna that can't get things out to her trash, out to the curb, but it's also going to affect every single farmer in this community. Yeah, he's going to lose money on his crops, and he's going to have to pay somebody to come out and pick it up.
And to that point too, if people would take responsibility, for themselves and act as good neighbors, do responsible living, government could do less.
Yeah. Well, you've got the opportunity
now. Not introduce smoking ordinances.
I have, you do the right thing eventually. I pay Big B, $56 every 3 months to pick up my trash, and it works. They never miss a day, and they never miss a week. Yeah. and then if I have a big item, I either take it to the dump myself or I can call a local handyman. I knew this topic was going to come up, so I messaged Matt Sousa, who does Sousa's lawn care and stuff around town. I said, hey, if I had a couch or whatever and the city didn't do this, would it be a service you provide? Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, you would have the opportunity for people to do that job.
At work, we had this discussion, and I've TM'd an idea before I introduce it. I'll mention that I've TM'd it. But somebody could probably make a lot of money by introducing Goober. It's Uber for your garbage.
Sure. I can send it straight to Aaron's house. I think that's direct destination.
I think that's what's going to be what needs to be the real focus is, what are we going to do about transporting trash? Because that is going to be the issue. Staffing and manpower with the street department, with our budget is obviously a problem. And I think that's why you're seeing this. And obviously curb appeal is a big thing. So
that was one thing that the mayor actually brought up. He said, why is it that whenever you drive through Newcastle, you can see people who have mattresses sitting in their alleyway, but you don't see that in White Estates? And Mark Koger said, well, because the people in White Estates just have family that live inside city limits and they take their trash there. And I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. I was totally shocked by the overwhelming support for this.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, and just like everything else, we've got to be cautious. And I'll throw out my bullet points. I drive through Rushville because we talk about Rushville a lot, and don't ever see large trash sitting out. But I'm usually staying on Road 3.
They have a small Irish guy named John McCain who walks around at night and picks up all the trash for everybody.
John McCain.
He's a happy leprechaun.
Well, they do have like an area for you to take your trash, and so it's going to be interesting to see. There has to be a solution. We can't just say, nope, that's it, because
keep your trash.
Otherwise, we're going to have the problem that you just mentioned, Dakota. And some of I don't know whether I know before we talked about large trash on a schedule, and I actually had that on the flyer that came in your utility bill, I think this past summer. Was that, if your trash is picked up on a Monday, it'll be picked up the first week. If it's picked up, it'd be Tuesday. There's no pickup on Monday. If it's picked up on Wednesday, you're going to be picked up the Friday of the second week. And so I think that brings it to it. But what's going to be hard is, and another idea was going to be take your garbage to the dump with the utility bill, and we'll assess the fee to the city. And then the city doesn't have to pay anything but what it takes to get rid of it at the landfill. But what's going to be hard is, whatever we do, it's got to hit the people that are taking advantage, which are the people that are clearing out houses and just doing it repetitively. And so then the staff that we have is subjecting themselves to needles or bed bugs or whatever it is, without punishing the people that need it and do it right. And that's going to be the hard part. That's going to be the challenge.
Very good. Well, we appreciate the conversation about the local issues here. Just want to briefly touch on something that we had in the show notes. I
thought my show notes for this were pretty funny.
You did a great job with that. There's another thing we were going to skip over, and I just briefly wanted to mention or acknowledge because it's kind of a big deal in the city. We had a law enforcement officer that got involved, or a couple of officers got involved. We had an officer involved shooting Sunday, and I guess the state police haven't released the names yet, so we'll kind of graze over it for now. But just keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Not an easy time for anybody in the city. So we'll note that, and then once more information is publicly available, I guess we can talk about it more in the future. But nothing to be political about. Just kind of wanted to note it.
And also note that our local law enforcement, our emergency responders, I think in our community, are top notch in the state, if not a greater area. I mean, they're all super professional. They're all experts.
Yeah.
And just like we talked about, they're all neighbors.
Yep. Very, very appreciative of each and every one.
One thing that is proven here is that it's not your normal daily job.
No. And I think this shows it.
Yeah.
Even in Little Newcastle.
Absolutely. So national issue. We have a couple of them to talk about.
We have a couple of them.
We have a couple. There's a sneak one on there that you don't know about.
No.
You get
something
a pop,
that I didn't
a pop
put on
quiz.
the show notes.
Yeah, you forgot to. It's okay. We forgive you. Alabama.
Yep.
They had a U.S. senator. This could be the year of 3 U.S. senators for Alabama.
Sweet home. Oh, sorry.
Roy Moore.
I'd rather do that. I'd rather do the Sweet Home Alabama than something by the awful country band. Man,
You've reached
I think
your
I think you're safe on the royalties because
Yeah.
nobody will be able to recognize
nobody's know what the hell that was. Yeah, you're doing a terrible job with Sweet Home Alabama. So Jeff Sessions was the senator from Alabama. He resigned to take a job. He's a terrible attorney general, but he signed up to be the attorney general. Got confirmed by the Senate. And there's a fellow named Luther Strange, who I think was the attorney general for Alabama. That he got appointed in a.
I'm Luther Strange.
He got appointed by a southern corrupt governor of Alabama, who I think has already resigned since the appointment. And then there was an official special election that was scheduled. So Mo Brooks, a Republican, Roy Moore, and Luther Strange had a little runoff. None of them got 50%. So then this last week they had another runoff. There's a Democrat waiting. They found somebody and have somebody waiting in line. So Roy Moore, who was the underdog in the race, uber conservative, biblical, just absolute like 25 years ago, Pat Robertson, like uber conservative. He's twice been elected statewide. In Alabama, it's crazy. You get elected to the Supreme Court in Alabama. So by popular vote, you become the Supreme Court Chief Justice in Alabama.
Right.
So he's won 2 statewide elections for that. He's been removed or quit both times. He's had that job.
Yeah.
Once he got removed because he wouldn't take the Ten Commandments out of the courthouse.
He
And
does
then
not.
he quit this time.
Mr. Roy does not believe in separation of church and state.
He's
he
a
made
theocrat.
that very clear. He's a what?
He's a theocrat.
Theocrat. I thought he said Democrat. And I
No,
was like,
theocrat.
no.
I don't necessarily believe in like the way people would say separation of church and state, like cut and dry, black and white. I don't even believe that way myself. I think it always merges somehow, some way.
That is exactly why I put that bullet.
But at the same time, we recognize this is not a theocracy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Their influences.
I don't think that the Republican nominee in Alabama understands that, Clay.
Yeah,
I really don't.
I've heard a few things on him. I haven't.
Yeah, he literally said he was talking about Muslims, okay, and this dude is a super xenophobe. Like, and I know that term gets thrown around a lot,
Sure.
especially with Donald Trump and Mike Pence in office, and it's whatever. You can make it that way
Sure.
you want, and but I mean, I've never used that term to describe a person. And Roy Moore, truly is extremely racist against Muslim people. And
now, if you talk against Muslims, are you racist, or is Muslim a race? Or see, we could get really deep
we
here.
could get deep in that, but here's the thing,
Muslim's
because
not a
I
race.
don't think that Roy Moore has the level of intelligence to separate a Muslim person from a person of Middle Eastern descent.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I see where you're going.
Yeah. So I mean that's where it is. That's where it lies.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad Jeremiah put this on the. You know what I mean? Because I saw it coming, and I'm like,
Politically, it's
I mean,
it's going to be a mess.
That's why I put that on there, especially with the separation of church and state, because you, you're an associate pastor, correct?
I have been, yeah.
You have been, okay.
Yes.
Associate pastor emeritus.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
I still attend the same church. I'm still very strongly Christian, still into ministry, all
and
that. Yes.
Yeah, I knew that,
Yes.
and that's why I wrote that down in the show notes.
Yes.
The separation of church and state, because I wanted to get your opinion on it and wanted to hear it, especially within relation to Roy Moore, because I know that you are nothing like that man.
So, cutthroat political, Jeremiah. You have a president who endorsed Luther Strange, who's the incumbent, who was appointed.
Yep.
He failed. So the president was pissed off that he endorsed the wrong guy. The Senate.
He even deleted all of his tweets encouraging people to vote for him. He went back through and they deleted.
Really?
I'm sure it wasn't actually Donald Trump,
Oh,
but the White House
right,
staff went through and deleted.
No, it was probably the petty president.
at 3 a.m.
At 3 a.m. So, and then you look at what the Republican Senate looks like right now. You don't have, the Freedom Caucus has got there are enough Freedom Caucus members in the House, like 25 or 30 members, that overrides the margin they have over the Democrats.
Yeah.
Yep. So they have to play to their left, their hard left, and their hard right. Even though some of the Freedom Caucus people aren't really the hard right, but for the illustration here, we'll talk about it in those terms. where it's like trying to herd cats and they keep coming off on the fringes either way. On the Senate side, you have a similar problem where you have the Republicans have Susan Collins and they have Lisa Murkowski and they have John McCain and Lindsey Graham that typically wander off, towards the left side, and then you've only got a 3-vote margin as it is. You've got like 52 seats.
Right.
And now you're going to have, and then on the other side, you have Ted Cruz and you have Rand Paul and you have your boy Ben from Nebraska and you have Senator Lee. And now you're probably going to have the senator from Alabama as well. So all of a sudden you've got 52 seats, but you really only have about 40 to 42 that are solid,
that you can count on,
that will listen or do what Mitch McConnell wants. Congress is broken. They still don't find a way to have any regular order. You look at, you compare what they do in the Senate versus what you guys have to do at the council or either of the councils. You have to have 3 readings to do something. You look at the Indiana legislature, you introduce a bill and it takes 2 months to pass. These guys, they just try to jam stuff through and it doesn't work.
And I think to prove that they're doing work, but I think it's backfiring.
Yeah.
I think it's doing the opposite of that because
Exactly
of how
right.
they're doing it.
So the problems are just going to be more and more deep. I'm interested in your opinions on it, but if Roy Moore gets elected, I think there's going to be a lot of issues where he'll be very fiscally conservative and he'll be a stick in the mud and he'll be probably good for the Senate in some of those areas, but there are other places where he's just going to be terrifying to me. I don't know if you know much about him, Aaron. I don't,
I read a little bit, and
Yeah.
I mean, it was just everything that you just said.
Yeah.
And I know that he ran on the Make America Great Again campaign and aligns pretty well with that, and even said, he supports the president, even though the media kind of paints it that he didn't.
As a Republican, you have to, don't you? It's in the rules.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're required to.
On this issue, I heard a little more about him today because honestly, I hadn't kept up with that and I hadn't seen this situation until just the other day. I heard he had won, and then I heard you or saw you talking about it.
Yep.
And so again, I heard more on it. Now, some of these negative things I haven't. I'm not really up to speed on him. But the one thing that he did say, there's a couple points that I think when I look at that whole big picture, like you were saying, there's going to be certain votes he'll probably vote very strongly on and probably be very conservative and hold that hard line.
Fiscally, I would imagine he's going to be one of the most
Sure.
conservative members.
Right. And on other issues, he may. It may be a Twitter thing or he'll just speak some things, but when you're there, how much impact are you actually going to make, and how much different? Because when it comes down to votes, how much different is his votes going to be than, say, a Jeff Sessions? You see what I'm saying? In the big picture. Now, the one thing that he did say that I liked, again, we live in a world of sound bites, and I did like, but there was one media outlet that was talking about how he doesn't believe in the Constitution, right? Or he's against the Constitution, doesn't believe something about the Bill of Rights, right? Well, and then he shows a clip of this Roy talking about that issue, and he says, our rights don't come from the Constitution. Our rights don't come from the Bill of Rights. Our rights come from Almighty God. Okay, now, they used that to say he was anti-constitutional. Well, the fact of the matter is, and I think everybody would agree with this, is when the founders founded, the Constitution and the government ensures rights. They don't give rights.
Correct. Yeah, you have,
Because
as
if
a
the
libertarian,
government-
we would believe that you have natural law
Exactly.
provides your rights.
So
Yes.
if government
I like
gives
to say
rights,
that they are that
they
that
can
they-
take
yeah.
rights.
the Constitution. See, this is what people get mixed up all the time. The Constitution and the Bill of Rights. People think that it is what the government gives us, and really, in reality, it is what we give the government.
Exactly.
That this is the constitutional limitations of government,
Exactly.
and anything beyond that.
That's
is,
what your 10th Amendment is about.
is a
Everything else
breach.
that's not explicitly
Exactly.
given is reserved to the states and to the people.
Right.
And we have from our Creator certain
Exactly. Yeah.
rights that cannot be infringed upon,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And so when a government
And
chooses
is
to
smoking one
infringe
of
on
those?
those rights, that, as talking about circling back,
Raises a good point, Aaron.
that is a good point.
Well, I mean,
But
what kind of nicotine are you putting in your temple? Is my
great-
question
Exactly.
with that.
The great Bob Newhart routine
something
about
that-
discovering tobacco.
Something that
You
keeps
should
my
all look it up at this
brain
point.
firing at all cylinders. That's
Well,
what it
and
is.
here's the thing about the Constitution, though. The Constitution is about states' right. It's about that individual right.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So at the local level, I mean, this is where government really
Yeah.
is rubber in the road. So we,
Right.
because like we talked about before, we live in such a small community. We go to Walmart with these people.
Yeah.
We live with these people. We live among these people. So we're not out there trying to make rules and trying to pass taxes and trying to do this and that to
I remember a tax
to make
increase
friends.
that Clay gave me. I'm pretty sure I remember that.
We're not doing it to make friends.
No,
You
you
know what
just
I mean? We see if we see a
He
legitimate
grabbed my
need-
arm. I've never had him do that to me
I
before.
was like, Jeremiah, I love
Powerful.
you.
pleading
Well, and
with
that's
me.
why I've never understood, presidential elections are notoriously and historically where you get the greatest voter turnout. When I ran, the numbers were awful.
Oh, sure,
Sure.
But it
these are the
impacts
people
the
that are
people.
making your daily life decisions.
Yeah.
And granted, that federal level does the same thing, but not near to the extent that
Sure.
local government does.
Sure, exactly. I mean,
And they've got a lot more influence on the local level. They can have conversations with you and me. They can't go to the White House or
sure, exactly.
They could,
And
but-
you do. And before we move on here, you do. You feel, and I heard you talking about it earlier, the decisions you make impact, and I think Dakota touched it too, the decisions you make impact the lives of every, 20,000 people.
Right.
And we carry that.
Right.
I get that.
Yeah. I mean, it's stressful.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's part of the job.
But that's
and
what
I
we
don't
sign
hate
up
it.
for. Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. And I just hope, my whole point is, I hope that people feel like they're listened to and there's that discussion. That's
Right.
what it's about.
Well, we will end the philosophical portion of the show there and start to work into final thoughts. We did have a special surprise poll that came up. At this point, we're 23 episodes into the Boss Hog Liberty podcast, so I'm pretty sure that all of our regular listeners have completely fallen in love with the city of Newcastle and want to move here. So,
Welcome with open arms.
I found a home today. I like to look at Realtor.com in my small bit of downtime I get. Place at 729 Hawthorne Road. Went up for sale yesterday, and I messaged it to the four. It's Audrey and Sarah and Dakota and myself, our little group, and I said I might have to sell my house and buy this thing. It's perfect. Sarah comes back and it's not perfect, so I'm probably not moving. Audrey was supportive and thought it was fantastic, and Dakota thought it was a total gut job and everything was ugly and it should be completely redone.
Yep. Okay, here's the thing. Audrey and I both watch a lot of HGTV, which is where like a lot of the design for my house came, like the shiplap in the downstairs and then in my living room and my dining room. My dining room has an entire wall, an accent wall of shiplap.
It's very
And,
nice.
So this house that we're talking about
very
is
nice.
it's a mid-century modern, which is
Right.
like the architectural style that I love.
And that I hate.
It's fantastic.
See,
the flat roofs, the
I've
low
always
slung
loved-
wood
I've
paneling.
always loved this house because it reminds me of Frank Lloyd Wright.
Exactly.
architecture.
That's
See,
exactly
I,
right.
I like the architectural style. I have a great appreciation for that.
But you hate
it's
it.
the design of mid-century modern.
It's right
that
out of
I
Ferris
hate.
Bueller.
I mean,
it's
to
like
That is a beautiful picture.
have two walls full of windows.
yeah,
like that's
pure
awesome.
glass.
That is beautiful.
See, that is cool. But look
and a
at the
fireplace.
kitchen. Look at all of
Yeah.
the rooms. Look at the ceilings and the bathroom.
Did you ever watch Mad Men? This is like living in Mad Men. It's a little bit earlier, but it's close.
Yeah, why would you want to live in Mad Men? It's the 21st century. You can still live the lifestyle, but you cannot live the design.
But would you rather buy a house that somebody made theirs, or move into a house and make it your own?
It's like original. You could make a few small
I
changes
made
to this place.
on my own. That's
Right.
fine. I said that from the very beginning. This house has a ton of potential. I love the layout, and I love the size of it. Everything about it I love, except for everything inside needs to be gutted.
Cosmetic.
I
No,
posted a little
not cosmetic.
a little poll for for my Facebook friends today on this, and it turned into like the gray dress blue dress debate of last year. in a few hours, it's been very polarizing. And I said, which one is it? Is it, maybe you fixed the kitchen, but it's move-in ready and it's beautiful, or is it a total gut job? Because we were polarized in our group. So Dakota has taken the time in the last 3 or 4 hours.
I've been,
and you've
actually,
been
while the
ticking
podcast,
boxes.
even while the podcast has been going on, so this is like in real time. So on September the 28th at 8:34 p.m.
Eastern time.
Local
Local time. Henry County time.
Jeremiah gave 2 options. Is this house move-in ready and is absolutely perfect, or is it a gut job? And the people that voted that it was move-in ready, there were a total of 17 people. I mean, that's how many, there were so many people commenting on this. I kept getting notifications. It was like one right after the other. And then the people that voted that it was a total gut job were 5, 10, 15, 20, and 24.
I'm telling you what, if you have 17 people that think it's a beautiful house, it's going to sell quick.
Yeah.
If you want this place, we have nothing to do with realtor. I don't even know who has a realtor listing, but it's going to go quick.
The street right outside is freshly paved. We didn't mention that.
We didn't. No, but this house would be
it's north of Q, but it's in a very nice part of north of Q.
It would be perfect for a fixer-upper show.
It's a fixer-upper. It's move-in ready, man.
Dude, you're crazy.
Beautiful.
I just don't understand it. I don't see how you can look at it and think that.
It is vintage, man. It's perfect. It's cherry.
It's not vintage. Vintage is like antique-y, and it's starting to come around again. This is just old and weird.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
I think make that 18.
Yeah.
18?
I didn't vote.
It's we'll share it. We'll share it on the Boss Hog Liberty Facebook page. You can look for it there and find the link, and I guess it'll share my page or something. But I don't know. Hopefully this thing sells. I want a commission. I don't know who the realtor is, but if this thing sells within the first week, I think maybe a small donation to the Boss Hog Liberty Studio project is reasonable.
I marketed the show this week.
Did you?
To my dad's neighbor, and he's a younger gentleman. He just moved here. He's a real estate agent for Talk to Tucker, and he came in and he was talking to my dad and I, and I got to talking about, he put down the exact same flooring that I put down in the studio. And we were talking about it, and I said, yeah, I put it in my studio at the house. And he was like, studio? I said, yeah, I run a really large, very successful podcast out of the spare bedroom of my house. It's no big deal, but we have like 80 million listeners, and like half the world listens to us. I'm surprised you haven't heard of me.
Only banned in North Korea.
Yeah. Would you like for me to give you an autograph? It's on the house. No, I didn't really say that, but I did tell him about the studio, and he said he was going to check us out.
There you go. All right. Well, this is the point in the show where it's probably time for final thoughts. We'll work our way around in counterclockwise fashion as normal. Clay, what do we got to pitch, man?
Well, hey, there's one thing I want to say. I did have a friend on Facebook mention that if we wanted to hit 1,000 this time with this show, that you should have brought your guitar.
No,
there's a guitar over that shoulder, over your left shoulder.
There is a guitar hanging in the studio.
I also have an amp, a ukulele, and a mandolin.
Total Request Live with Mr. Dicken.
Wow. We don't need anything.
What do you want to hear?
You got it. Take it.
Now, if we had all the updates done and you were recording this on video, we could definitely get a little show with
we would.
Like smoking in the boys' room. Is that what it is?
Oh, yeah. You know,
smoking
whatever
in
you
the
got. Smoking
Wait a
in
minute,
the
is
Baker
it
Park.
school?
Don't strike a nerve. Strike a nerve.
Smoking in the skate park.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Well, hey, this week, this Saturday, actually,
the big celebrity judging.
Yes.
The big celebrity judging event.
The Gathering in Louisville, Indiana. Victory Lane Camp is having their chili cook-off, and guest celebrity judges are going to be there, Mr. Jeremiah Morrell and Mr. Dakota Davis, along with Henry County Sheriff Rick McCorkle.
All right.
So you three will be judging the chili.
We are it. We're the only. There's a fan vote as well.
And there is a fan vote, but you are the three celebrity judges. You will be given a sheet of paper, and you will be making your comments. and rating each and every chili. So
I'm so excited. You have no idea how much I love
it.
chili.
It is going to be fun. It's a good time. It's a great cause. And you can check out more at victorylanecamp.org. And there's plenty of information on there. And final thought for the county is we meet Monday and we have our budget session. We have to cut over $700,000 from the 2018 proposed budget. So I'm sure Monday will be in a stressful for me. And there will be a lot of talks and a lot of
it's a good thing the barbershops close on Mondays.
Yes, it is, right? So anyways, so yeah, and then later on in a few weeks, we'll give an update on how that went. So that's it for final thoughts. I appreciate Aaron being here, and it's been really cool to see him. I am still, a rookie myself politically, but after I won election and then Aaron ran for city council, it's been fun to watch him on Facebook and to be in conversations with him personally about the affairs of government and just politics in general, and how we can work together and kind of cross party lines and truly be bipartisan and
Tripartisan.
Oh, excuse me. You're right. I'm not used to this. You are correct. How we can be tripartisan in this day and age, and work together to create a better community that we all live in.
Yeah.
So,
well, I appreciate that. And I can remember on election night, Clay came into Democratic headquarters and introduced himself. And I think we had had some interchanges on Facebook, but it's been really nice to have discussions with you for sure. And like you said, I mean, we're both players in affecting the community. Doesn't matter whether it's city or county, it's for the good of both.
it impacts
Well, very good. Final thoughts, Mr. Aaron Dicken.
Final thoughts. This weekend is Newcastle's homecoming. I know that I'm odd man. Well, I don't know. Where did you graduate from, Clay?
Blue River.
Yeah. So
Yes,
I'm
Blue River Valley.
I'm the homeschooled guy. I did spend a couple years at Blue River, but I dropped out after the 6th grade, so it's not too permanent.
So we have homeschool, Newcastle,
Gotcha.
Blue River, and
Tri-High.
There you go.
So it's Newcastle's homecoming this weekend. So looking forward to a lot of fun activities and people
Too bad
coming
14th
home.
Street won't be open.
You've got
Yeah,
the most.
well, I don't even think they'll be able to cruise broad like the old days either. So
you've legit
we'll
got
be
the
all
most
right.
impressive football team Newcastle's had.
Oh, my
in,
God.
like
yeah.
any of our lifetimes.
Well, and Nia Williamson, the quarterback, I think is ranked number 1 in the state. I mean, just unbelievable.
I think he's actually reaching some national benchmarks.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
And Luke in Bumbalo,
Yeah.
wide receiver,
not
he's
Mike
reaching
Bumbalo.
some national benchmarks.
We haven't gotten out to a game yet. Looking forward to that this weekend because the videos I've seen, I mean, just
Somebody
really
knocked him out.
really athletic people. I got it. Other than that, our meeting is also Monday night. And I've been trying to push. I know not everybody can make meetings, and that's why I do what I do on Facebook. But really, local government, I think, works best when you're involved and you can get your voice out there.
If you want to meet the famous Boss Hog Liberty, Dale Cole, I'm sure that you will be at the meeting.
Yeah, for sure.
Or an area planning commission meeting.
For
All
sure.
kinds of meetings, ways to meet Dale Cole.
You were smart to sit behind him. No, Dale. I love Dale.
Yeah, Dale's a good guy.
But appreciate the invite here. Like I said, I mean, I know that we don't always see eye to eye on many things, including smoking in the park. But I just appreciate being able to come here, have discussion, because, there are a lot of things that we do agree on, too. So
Very good. Well, we appreciate being here. How do folks follow you? Facebook, Twitter?
Yeah,
how do you want people contacting you? There's a lot of ways they'll try.
Right. I've got a Facebook page that is, if you just go to facebook.com/elect Aaron Dicken, that's probably the best way to contact me, and that's where I do a lot of my marketing communication.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Otokad Savad.
I just want to thank Aaron Dicken for coming out. I really enjoyed having him on the show. I really enjoyed talking to him and just not contacting over Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And just want to say, like I said, we have 5 bumper stickers to sell. There we go. That's an easy way to advertise your favorite podcast in East Central Indiana.
Indiana's #1 tractor podcast.
Yep, the #1 tractor podcast in Indiana. No one else can say that.
Nobody even tries.
No one even, not even we are libertarians can say that. It's just the Boss Hog of Liberty. No, but we have a lot of fun making this podcast for everybody, and it's become sort of a big deal for us. And I have a lot of fun. I put a lot of time into making the show notes and thinking about what we want to talk about, and it would just want to encourage everybody to like and share the Facebook page, and tell your friends about us, and let us know what you think in reviews, and tell us how we can get better, and what you would like to see changes on the podcast. And you can follow me on Facebook, just Dakota Davis. It's just a picture of me and my wonderful fiance Audrey Peavy. And you can also follow me at Tokad Savad on Twitter.
All right, awesome. Final thoughts from me. The president did come to town. Had some fun with that. A very good friend of our family, the Morrell family, a guy named John Gannon, who has a small business. I grew up with his oldest son, his oldest daughter. I live in Greenfield. He got a shout out from the president at the state fairgrounds for his tax plan, which is kind of cool.
He wasn't as humble as Clay then.
No, he went, but it was neat to see. And they had this little back and forth thing. He builds fences, so the president was saying that he wanted him to build a fence around the White House for him, and they quoted $50 million. He tried to get John to build it for $1 million. So anyway, it was cool. It was a good moment for him, and obviously we don't agree with everything that the president does, but when he comes to town, it's good for everybody. Unless you get stuck in traffic trying to come across Indianapolis, like my brother did for the vice president last week. But it's cool nonetheless, and it was a neat moment for the Gannon family and the Golden Eagles basketball family. So that was a neat one. I personally want to make sure we thank all of our sponsors that have helped us out: Wyland's Flowers, Big Bounce of Newcastle, Christy Avery, Craig DaCosta, Sarah Potter, going to miss some here, but I apologize.
David Herring,
of course. And then this week we got some new lights that were sent in off the Amazon wish list. Yep. So as we start the video portion here in the next couple of weeks, Lisa Goldsberry Crosby has provided us with a pair of really, really nice studio lights, so we won't be sitting here so dark. We're going to have to start wearing makeup, Clay, and really working on our haircuts to make sure that we look good.
I used to do plays and stuff whenever I was in high school, and that's for real. You have to wear eyeliner.
I have worn makeup a couple times.
Oh, man. So anyway, thank you guys very much for listening. We continue to the numbers have been phenomenal. Every episode is, by the time we hit the 1 to 1.5 week mark, everyone is at record at this point. It's truly great. We know that our guests are a big part of that, and you guys using your platforms to share and driving it, and then people listen and they go, well, that was actually a pretty good way to spend an hour or two. So
closer to 2 this time.
Yeah, it's the way. Sometimes the guests are just so good you've got to run long. It's what happened.
Well, I think I could probably speak for all the guests. I mean, this is a really unique platform, and I appreciate you guys putting it out there.
Awesome. Well, very good. Follow me at Jeremiah Morrell on Twitter. Facebook.com/Jeremiah Morrell. The most important thing is to like and share the podcast, Boss Hog of Liberty. iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, and of course we're syndicated on Indiana Talks. Last week they picked us up 3 times. We were on Friday night, Saturday at noon, and Sunday at noon on all of their platforms. So big stuff. Appreciate the listens, and we will see you all next time.
Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at WeareLibertarians.com.